All right. So stop and ask directions. No, trust me, I know where I'm going. The genome map and ethics. Looking at one of the POPs that you need to be able to answer, one of the possible prompts, is looking at ethical issues within the biological level analysis. And there's no better place to look at those ethics than in genetics. So in a matter of years, you'll be able to purchase a map of your entire genome for less than $5,000. What are the implications of that? We're going to take a look at that right now. Genetics, the McEgg, the methods, culture, ethics, genetic reductionism. It has major social implications. Galton's eugenic movement motivated the Nazi Holocaust. And you can even look at the eugenics movements within the United States that kind of led to that. If people are inferior, get rid of them. Raises issues of how animals should be treated, naturally violent, hard to rehabilitate, so maybe should be permanently locked up, etc., or genetic engineering to stop them breeding. Ethical issues. Humans are capable of high-order reasoning and arguably less bound by biology because of it. So biological reductionist explanations are inadequate. One of the other issues is just genetic determinism. The idea that because your genetic code is a certain way, because your genetics predispose you to certain behaviors, you are then determined to follow through with those behaviors. There's a lot of danger to genetic determinism to say that your genes will determine who you are. Caspy people with the same MAOA mutation show different levels of aggression depending on how they were raised as children, showing that although this mutation seems to lead to aggressive behavior, it really has to do with the nurture as well as the mutation, because the mutation did not show violent behavior, nor did the nurture, but when combined, they brought about people who have a higher volatility. Only likely to be aggressive if they had been abused. An environmental impact, nature versus nurture, or nature and nurture. This idea that they both usually need to be present for some bad behaviors to happen. Has harmful consequences for particular groups of people. Looking at people that are already being treated poorly in society. People might say, well, they're genetically predisposed to this or to that, and would lead to possible discrimination or further discrimination against certain groups, and would leave and would not make a lot of sense in the fact that you would just further some of the issues that we have with division in society. Moral responsibility, women would have abortions, not the fault of the man, deterministic, not society's fault either, not a lot can be done, and just saying that there's nothing we can do. These people have, or their genetics are leading them to doing that. Confidentiality issue. If misused, genetic information may be stigmatizing, may affect abilities of people to get jobs or insurance. Racism, discrimination. Genetic information may be misused to justify discrimination and racism, e.g. the eugenics movement, Jensen's research on intelligence between races, the prevalence of certain genes in different ethnic groups. So when we're really looking at the ethical issues, and when we really determine what are the implications of genetic mapping, what are the implications of taking somebody's genetic or genome or their genetic map and using that to study certain behaviors. What happens if that information gets out? Could we continue to fuel racism and discrimination? Given the methodological problems involved in genetic research, particular care needs to be taken into the use and interpretation of the findings. Potential self-fulfilling prophecy. Jensen's research on differences in intelligence between races. This idea of self-fulfilling prophecy, if you believe that you aren't smart or you believe that you are inferior to others, that often will then be the case. So that if people know their genetics, that could determine what happens to them. But there's also research that shows that they took people and they told the teacher that some of your students are extremely gifted, and they gave the name of those students, and those students improved much better than the students who were not named gifted, and they were just randomly chosen. There wasn't anything necessarily gifted about them. And so the idea is that the way we are treated, the way people are, that we treat ourselves based on labels can be very powerful. And so to tell somebody, hey, you have a gene that's going to lead to you not being very smart, or in these cases, in this area, it might lead to self-fulfilling prophecies. If our behavior is partly responsible by our genes, to what extent do we have free will? i.e. can be held responsible for our behaviors, study on genes and criminal behavior, but even more than that, how much then is parenting matter? How much do all of these things matter? As a parent, I can just go ahead and say, hey, it doesn't matter what I do with my kids because it's all about genetics, which is not the case. It's an interplay between the two. Should prenatal screening for diseases be the standard? Why or why not? Should screening of behavior be prohibited? Why or why not? To what degree would wide-scale availability and use of comprehensive prenatal screening create a de facto eugenic society? We will discuss these questions when we come back to class, but this is just a quick video to help you with the lesson on Thursday in order to complete kind of a worksheet on on the ethics of genetic testing. So I told you it would be short. I followed through with that. It's going to be less than 7 minutes. Have a great day.